Hey, somebody's got to find my pink shirts for this month. You did? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer.
Stop making such a big deal out of it.
Here, you and I will use common sense and all the wisdom we can muster to move beyond what is true and go all the way to the truth. With listeners now in 94 countries around the world, welcome Hong Kong. Hey, Hong Kong. I am the Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. As the Professional Noticer, it is my job to professionally notice something for you. And nothing is off limits. So, what is your question? Is it concerning business, spiritual issues, popular culture? Hey, we'll even tackle the odd conundrum, like if you try to fail and succeed, which have you actually done? My purpose here today, and with every show we do, is to play the part of a best friend or coach. I want to help you live the life you would live if all your toughest questions were answered. The Professional Noticer is sponsored this week by Kamado Joe Premium Ceramic Grills. I know, you say, well, I already have a ceramic grill. I've got a big one, and I've got one that's just like the Kamado Joe. Friends, there is nothing just like the Kamado Joe. I'm telling you, this is the greatest ceramic grill you have ever seen in your life. Consumer Report says so. You know, Consumer Report says it is by far the number one best. In fact, if you already have one, you probably already have one that is the wrong color. Okay, Kamado Joes are this beautiful brick red, but if you have one that's the wrong color, then I'm just telling you, you're probably the only one who can lift the lid to check on dinner. That was one of the things Consumer Reports said about that wrong color competition for Kamado Joe. Because, and you know, if you look at the back, the hinge does look like something a kid made in high school shop class. But the Kamado Joe, with all its specialized tools and the sizes and the different things that it has that just are unbelievable. You know, it also has a counterbalanced stainless steel hinge. So even on the Big Joe, 365 pounds of Big Joe, a 10-year-old can lift the lid to fully open using a single finger. I'm not kidding. You need to stop in somewhere and check that out. It's the best ceramic cooker in the world. Just check out KamadoJoe.com or anywhere fine grills are sold. Observations and answers. That's what we do here. I deliver the observations and run through to some answers, but you provide the questions. Always remember, the quality of the answers that we come to can only be determined by the quality of your questions. I would love to field a question from you. Write me. The email is theprofessionalnoticer@andyandrews.com. If we use your question, the Professional Noticer will send you your choice of the Guided Traveler Experience. It's an 8 hours live video seminar, or you could choose the 100-Year Parenting. It's a collection of 53 videos. So very cool. Would love to hear from you. But this week, our first question is from Crystal. Hey, Crystal.
Hey, Andy. This is Crystal. My husband and I own a business that we've worked very hard to build into a professional company that treats both its team members and customers with the utmost respect and kindness. Integrity is a cornerstone value for us personally as well as professionally. We have a competitor who's been dishonest and unethical in his business dealings. He's lied to customers to get more business, and we fear but have no proof that he's lied about us and tried to hurt our reputation. My intuition is that we should just continue to do a good job and stay the course and always be the best in business. My husband, however, is very angry and bothered by competing against a person who's essentially cheating by his unethical behavior. He wants to find a way to take action and win against this guy in the short term as well as the long term. What is your bottom of the pool advice for how to be honorable both to ourselves and our customers and to compete to win in this market without stooping to a petty level or doing something stupid that would only hurt ourselves in the long run. Thank you very much for your advice.
Crystal, thank you for the question. I'm so sorry that you guys are having this aggravation right now. And I understand how you feel, but I also understand how your husband feels. And, that's part of that is just being a guy. I'm just going to tell you, I have that same thing. I mean, we may be 40 or 50 or 60 years old, but we're still guys, and we still kind of want to go punch somebody out by the monkey bars. It's I don't know that if that's something that you ever grow out of. I think that's just kind of guy thing. All right. And so I understand. I think that my answer to you might be a little bit different than you thought it would be when you called and left this message. Because I kind of think, you say in here that your intuition is that we should just continue to do a good job and stay the course, be the best, and I understand your intuition, and I think that you are correct. I just think there's something more. Okay, because you said your husband is really angry and he's really bothered competing against this person, cheating this way, this unethical behavior, the lying, and wants to find a way to do something. And here was, I'm just kind of reviewing for myself. Here was your final question, but let me just tell you, I do. Golly, I get it with your husband. I mean, you guys have built this business. You've worked very hard, and you got team members, you got customers who know what you do, and they love you, and you treat them with respect and kindness, and these people who know you and who watch you every day, they know integrity is a huge value for you, and now we have this person, this other person, this competitor. Now here's what I want to just kind of point out that is happening. That there is a face value kind of thing that we look at this and go, yeah, okay, well, I get it. That this kind of thing happens, and you either just kind of take it and just kind of go with it, or you get in there and get a little dirty with it, and that's what people kind of see on the surface. But let me just let's just dial into this a bit and understand that when people like us who do an ethical business, and other people are in the forefront of our minds and hearts, and we're honest with people and open with people, and so when people like us see something like this, it's really a bit shocking. I mean, we just kind of can't believe it. You asked at the very end, you said, how are you honorable to yourself and your customer, and then and compete to win without stooping to a petty level? Or, and I'm going to hold off on that just for a second, but let me just say that when you see this, we kind of can't believe it. Part of the reason that liars get away with things is, and the best liars are the pathological liars, until you can kind of see a pattern of it, and then you don't believe anything they say. But the reason liars get away with lying is not just because they're so good at it. A big part of the reason liars get away with it is you and I are just not geared that way. And so when we're talking to somebody or doing business with somebody, or we're moving forward with a project, we're just not thinking about somebody standing there lying to our face, or leaving a conversation and then going and telling somebody something totally different. We're just not wired that way. And so when somebody does it, they get away with it a lot of times because we find out too late, or people still just kind of can't. They're not really sure what the truth is, and so you find people sometimes backing away from both of the parties that are kind of in dispute because they don't really know. Now, you got something different here, right? Because you have a business and you have figured this out. You guys, you and your husband have figured out something's going on here, and this is what this guy's doing. And, we don't really have the total goods on him. We don't have him on a hidden camera or anything, but we know this is what's going on. And I totally believe you. All right. Now, you say that last part that we kind of didn't talk about just a second ago. I want to bring that up now. You want to figure out, how are you honorable to yourself and your customers and compete to win, and yet don't stoop to a petty level or do something stupid that would only hurt you in the long run. Let me tell you, the one thing you really have to watch out for in this situation is that last thing you say, doing something stupid. You got to be really careful dealing with this situation and dealing with this person, because there have been times that I have seen people go into a situation like this and they were totally in the right, and yet they were not wise in how they dealt with it. They did something stupid and they ended up the ones being in trouble. Okay, so just be aware that if you have hard evidence, then I would suggest you take it to an attorney. All right, we've seen situations like this, even locally. There were some big business people locally that we saw a few years ago that were kind of just opposite sides of the interstate from each other, and one of them was telling customers certain things about the other one that were absolutely not true, and so they kind of got the goods on him. They sent some people in that posed as customers and kind of got in a conversation, and they got the people on audio, and I think video too, but got them on there saying this stuff. It took it right to an attorney, and it was solved fairly quickly at that point. But assuming that you do not have that, you can't go. It's like in a football game when you've seen somebody get flagged for hitting another player, and the cliche is that it's always the guy who retaliates who gets caught and gets the flag, because the referees are kind of not looking, and some dude will punch him under his pads or something, or take a swing at him, and then the person who has been actually hit, that person now swings back. Well, the referees are looking that way now, and now that person's the one that gets the flag. And so we have to be very careful how we go about this. And again, if you don't have the goods on this person, if you don't have actual evidence on this person, you got to wait. Just keep your mouth closed. Or let's just say this. I don't think you should keep your mouth closed. I think you should be very careful what you say, because if you don't have the evidence on this person, then if you start saying something and he comes back, because, look at how this guy's playing the game. If he comes back and gets evidence that you have said something about him, he'll sue you for slander. Don't think he won't. In a heartbeat, he will. And so there is a way. Use your imagination. If this is so widespread as you guys are believing, use your imagination about how to gather some evidence here. All right. Now, let's just assume that at this point, you're not going to get any evidence. I'm just assuming that. I think you probably could. All right. But let's just assume for a second that you're not going to. There are obviously other people that are seeing this. And some of these people are customers, and obviously your own team members are seeing this. Now, if I were you, I would, if this is a topic of conversation around your business, I would gather your team members and just put the mojo on them and tell them, we're going to deal with this through proper channels. I would not tell them, which way you're going with it yet. But I would definitely say, I know that you guys are talking about this and that some of you are very concerned about it, and we're concerned about it too. But at this point, and you use the football analogy, about the second guy getting flagged. You can say, at this point, we need to be very, very careful about saying anything. And so if I were you, I would put the word out to your own team members that this is not a topic of conversation that they need to have with anybody. Because the last thing you want is some of the people working for you getting caught in some kind of thing that the other guy runs on you. Now, I really believe that there are also customers that are hearing what he's saying and that they have seen evidence of this. And I would bet you anything, some of them have said something to you or your husband. And I would imagine, especially, that has really worked up your husband, because he's looking and he's going, this is really happening, right? This is really happening. And it's not just my imagination. This is really happening and it's affecting us. And I can just see getting ramped up about it. But as people say something to you about it, I'm going to tell you what I think I would say here in just a minute. But let me take a rabbit trail here for a second. And I know you're going, you? A rabbit trail? Andy, no, tell us it's not true. But it is. We're going to take another one really quickly. And that is that I've worked with a ton of people who have had unethical people as their competition, right? Whether it was, somebody coaching something or somebody with a business or I've even seen churches act unethically toward each other. And again, I know you're going, churches? No, it couldn't be true. Yes, it is. In I'll say politics, that's kind of a coverall. For a lot of times, even locally, you'll see people get on one side of one issue and one side of the other, or towns kind of working against each other with the county politics. And so here is what I have seen, and this is always my advice to the ethical person, which is the only person I'm dealing with. I'm not going to deal with those other people who are willing to lie and willing to do things to. Here's the bottom line. The bottom of the pool. Let's not say line, let's say pool, okay? Just make me feel better. I always tell these people, look, you're nice, and I appreciate that. And I'm sure everybody else appreciates how nice you are. But as nice as you are, you cannot let your niceness keep you from speaking the truth if you have the opportunity. And I will tell them, I'll say, I see this all the time. You've got one side, they're willing to say anything. They're willing to do anything. They will lie, they'll cheat, they'll steal. They're willing to do anything to win. And then you have the other side, and this other side, these people are they're nice, and they're honorable. They wouldn't hurt anybody's feelings for anything in the world. And so, they will just, well, I'm not going to say that because that would hurt somebody, or, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to get down in the mud with them. Now, listen to me. Listen carefully. I'm not saying get down in the mud with them, but I am saying if they're going to lie, if they're going to do whatever they want to do, and the only weapon you have is the truth, for God's sakes, tell it. I mean, if you have the opportunity to speak the truth, if the truth is the only weapon you are willing to use, at least tell all of it. Now, in your situation, I think you just have to be careful who you tell all of it to. And I think that there are situations, like if, let's just assume that I live in your town and, that I own a pizza place, or, I don't even know what you guys do, but let's just say I own a pizza place and I'm one of your customers, and you and I are, our children are in youth league together, and we've known each other for a long time. And let's say I find out that this is going on. Well, and I say something to you when I come in, and you say, you know what, we have to be very careful, because you know how the football thing is. It's it's not the person doing it, it's the person who retaliates that ends up getting flagged for the penalty. And so we have to be careful right now, because I think you and I both know what the truth is, but we have to be careful. Now, I'll tell you what, sometimes we sit around and we know we have to be careful, but sometimes we wish we had somebody who was kind of on our side that didn't have to be as careful with it. And, I mean, if you said that to me, okay, I'll run with this. I'll just, and so, again, you don't want anybody getting in trouble, but there are ways, there are ways to fight it. You can write articles. You don't have to say a word. You don't even have to say anything about them or not, but you can write letters to the editor. You can do your smiling nice thing, but you can still put the word out. And, I know that I've been a little vague with this answer a little bit, because you're going to have to use your imagination to be effective in this fight and to be safe in this fight. But do know it is a fight, all right? And do know that it's not going away. And so you are going to have to figure out a way to get the real truth out, even if you don't have the hard and fast evidence. Now, somebody say, well, that's not fair. Oh, you fair? And then, there's a state in our nation. You can send somebody, you can give somebody the death penalty, and they only have to have circumstantial evidence, because circumstantial evidence, it holds up. There's the, if it quacks and walks like a duck, I mean, at some point it's just a duck. It's there. It's true. It's real. And so you got to figure out how to get this real truth out and still maintain your level of civility. But just remember, you're going to have to do something, because the first person who says something, that first person who lays something out there is usually the one people believe if somebody is not coming back and saying, hey, wait just a second. And so, whatever your answer is here, whatever, Your husband's answer is here, Crystal. The answer is not to do nothing. Okay? All right. Thank you so much for the question. And, hey, I'll come up there. I'll beat them up for you. All right? Thank you. Thank you. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. Hey, here's a thought. I know you can use Google to find the best kind of fish to feed a penguin or the answer to what kind of birds are legal to keep in your home, but where do you seek wisdom? I mean, there's a difference in knowledge and wisdom, right? Knowledge can get you a degree in zoology or nutritional science, animals, but wisdom will make sure you don't feed the lions and the zebras in the same place, right? Pure knowledge, without the wisdom to apply that knowledge in the proper context, is most often just useless. So allow me to suggest wisdomharbor.com. That's wisdom, H-A-R-B-O-U-R, harbor with an O-U-R. Go there now and be welcomed by a friend of yours. I'll give you a clue. It's me. And I'll give you this free 5-minute guided tour. You're going to really, really like this place. Then become a member of Wisdom Harbor. It's only $17 a month. Do it for your family, your business, and your schools. wisdomharbor.com. Our next question is from Ben. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Andy. Thank you so much for taking time to answer this question. I just got to the bottom of the pool for the second time, and one thing in there that really intrigued me, you said that you had spent some time recently reviewing your truths, and you said that you had reviewed them from stuff from when you were a kid all the way up till now, and fortunately, a lot of those truths were still true. What I was wondering is what tool did you use or what process did you go through to help determine those truths in your own life? I think that'd be something really cool for me to understand and apply in my own life, so thank you.
Ben. Great question. I think I have a fairly quick and clear answer. And again, you're right. A quick answer? It couldn't be. Well, let's see. I think it is very important. Obviously, that's why I wrote the book. But I think it's very important to get to the bottom of the pool and figure out what is true and what is the truth. And of course, as we've talked before, those can be two different things. Something can be true and not be the truth. You haven't gotten to the bottom of it. And you say that I analyzed these, and I did. I said in the book, I analyzed these and found most of the thing that I was analyzing that I had learned in my life that I had kind of thought about a lot. Most of that stuff was true, but some of the stuff, it wasn't that it wasn't true. It just wasn't the truth yet. There was more to it. And so how do I do that? This is something I want to do every day. And so to go about a review of truths, you asked, do I have a tool to help others with that? I don't yet. Maybe that should be something that we should look at. But there are really two questions that I would really apply to this. And this is what I do with trying to see if there's something beyond. One is I take my fact or my thing that I know about this, the story that I heard, the story that I heard that I know to be true. I'm just like history or something with my family or business. Is you look at that, and there are two things I apply. One is an overview. Is this the only thing? Does this look like, does this answer encompass everything here? Now, an example of that would be, in fact, we'll use this as an example for this one because this is one of the ones I think about the most and I talk about the most, and that is, you hear people say, we're just trying to raise great kids. We're just trying to raise great kids. All right. So if you apply the question we just talked about to that, does that statement encompass everything that is important to that parent? Okay, and because when you apply that to that question, no, it does not. The parent, it's not. I mean, when the parents stop and think about it, we stop and think about it, and yeah, we want to be great kids, but that's not all of it. I mean, how many times have you heard parents say, as long as you live in my house? We've probably said this, right? How many times have we heard, as long as you live in my house, you will not, I don't know, jump off a cliff. As long as you live in my house, you won't be jumping off a cliff. And see, we enforce that, and we kind of, we go back in private, we talk to our spouse, and we go, can you, I mean, what is it that they're not understanding about jumping off a cliff that you can get killed? You probably will be killed. What is it they don't understand? And so, we have got to stop this. And so what we say is, as long as you're in my house, you will not jump off a cliff. Well, it's a much bigger deal than that because we love them. Right? It's not anything but that. We love them so desperately that we would die for these kids. And so it's not just while they're in your house that you care that they don't die jumping off a cliff. I mean, when they turn 18, when they turn 21, when they leave home, it's not like you're saying, hey, as long as you live in my house, you're not going to die jumping off a cliff. But now, once you move away from me, feel free to jump off cliffs. I mean, that's not it, right? I mean, this is why we want to explain things. It's why it's important to get to the bottom of the pool. It's important to understand, is this all there is to it? Does this cover everything? Is the statement that I just made, I just want to raise great kids, does that statement cover everything I'm concerned about? And if the answer is, well, no, it doesn't. I'm concerned about his whole life. I'm concerned about his thinking beyond kiddom or childhood or whatever you call it. I'm concerned about more. And so when you realize you're concerned about more, you're doing a review of this. And so what you said, I want to raise great kids, it's true. It's true. It's not the truth. It's not everything. And so the other question I apply in a review of truth to see if we've gotten to the truth, see if this is only true or have we gotten the truth. The second question is a why. It's just why, but it's added to a why that's probably already been asked to get to what is true. And this is just an example, but people sit around and go, well, why in the world is there so many more of these kind of people in prison rather than these other kind of people? And why are there so many more of them? And somebody would come up with the answer. I mean, you've seen this on television 1,000 times. And somebody would come up with the answer, well, they're growing up with no fathers. There's no father. And so when you have that absence of family, there's no fathers. That's why. And everybody goes, wow, well, that's true. Because see, if you want to find out, if you're at the bottom of the pool, if you want to do a review of truth, you can do a review of truth and find out whether something is true or false. But if you're wanting to find out, okay, yeah, this is true, but is there more to it? You're applying that 30,000 foot view, but you can also ask why. When somebody says, well, the answer is because there are no fathers in those homes generally. And then somebody might say, yeah, well, that's true. Okay. But inside your question is why? Why are there no fathers? Why is that? Okay. Well, the answer would be blah, 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 blah. And there'd probably be people who go, yeah, well, that's true. And most people will stop there. But you have to go, well, why is that? Well, it's because of this and this and this, I guess. And okay, why is that? Why? And by doing that, you get to a point where there's no need to ask why anymore. And you can know then you're at the bottom of the pool. But you can also know then this is where you have to work to change something. Because like I say, 1,000 times on television, you've heard somebody say, somebody will say, oh, why are there so many more people involved in these kind of clubs instead? And, the answer would be, well, these kind of people they have done this, and this is the way they went to school. And because they went to school this way, this is what happens. And everybody goes, well, yeah, that's true. Okay. Well, they stop there all the time. Our government leaders stop there all the time. Media stops there all the time. And nobody, you want to do everything in 3-minute sound bites. Well, there's not time for these people to find the truth. And so all they need is something true, and then they can move on because nobody's going to, go against what they said. Okay, well, it's not a matter of going against what somebody says. It's a matter of finding where do we work? How do we start to change something? Because when we just hear something that is true, well, we've heard that a million times, and yeah, it's true, but what are you going to do about it? Well, nothing. There's nothing you can do about it because how are you going to go change that? You hadn't gotten to the bottom of the pool. You don't even know where to start. So this is why, I guess, not only how I do it, but why it's important. Thank you so much for the question. I'm the professional noticer. Ladies and gentlemen, if you appreciate the podcast, I would really appreciate you going to iTunes, giving us a nice review. A nice review would be like 15 or 20 stars, but I think you can only go up to 5. You can only review a particular podcast on iTunes one time, right? And you guys are doing an awesome job. When we started talking about this, you guys have really responded, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. If you haven't already done it, make today your day, okay? And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing the tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, smile while you talk, shake hands with the kids you meet, and make sure you have an answer to the question, is there another word for synonym? And so, until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Bags of Ice provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by the Phobia Foundation for Foxtophobics. Now you wouldn't know it by listening, but we actually spell foundation at the foundation with a PH at the beginning. That's foundation. P-H-O-U-N-D-A-T-I-O-N, foundation. You see, foxtophobia is the fear of the letter F. And unfortunately for foxtophobics, symptoms can develop just from remembering the name of the phobia that afflicts them. At the Phobia Foundation for Foxtophobics, you'll find a safe haven where all our reading materials and our movies have been updated with the PH substitute. You'll finally be able to get through that novel or that movie that stopped you right at the title. Fahrenheit 451, White Fang, Fight Club, Fast and Furious, The Fantastic Four, and of course there are many more. Even the internet has been filtered and updated. Get ready, Facebook. Here comes a whole new group of people for whom you have no data. Over time, you'll be slowly reintroduced to the letter that has plagued you for so long. Who knows, maybe you'll even find yourself living in Florida. If you've been wondering if you have foxtophobia, you can phone one of our pharmacy physicians and find out if you qualify for a free physical exam at our office locations in Philadelphia or Phoenix. Why free? Because we're here to fix you. That's the Phobia Foundation for Foxtophobics.